I'm over by the blue bench. The only thing in sight right now is just ducks. Oh, that's not. There we go. Yeah, the eider ducks are relaxing. The tide is just starting to go down. It's going to be a long time though before it's at low tide. Before it's at peak low tide. It's going to be hours. I came down early just to look for seal. We got one boat, one small boat coming in. A pleasure craft. That is a nice boat. They have their equipment, their communications equipment is at the back of the boat. Well, I guess that you can tell how big the Tiber is. The Federal Tiber is way bigger than that boat. Okay. Let's get back to the ducks. I am hopeful of seeing Sammy show up too. As the tide slowly goes down, the seals might get active, so I may see Sammy. I may go to the blind and check the water around that yellow channel buoy. I have a better view of the boat now. Yeah, the machinery of man. Boy, boats sure did change since the days of the white pine and white sail. Since the days of the schooner in the Champlain's time. I think a sailor of the 17th century would just take a heart attack if they saw boats today. They probably would. And the wind is blowing from the north to the southwest. I just like looking at that pollution. I really do. Well, they cleaned up the river some. The plant straightened itself out a little bit. But at one time they used to have the Kentucky Derby race. It was basically you take 1,000 plastic ducks and you put a number on each one and you let them out on the river, and the first one and basically the first one to make it through the falls into the inner harbor, something like that. Well, that was a winner. And if you had drawn that number, then you would win whatever the money amount was or prize was. But a politician trying to get a duck out of the water at Reversing Falls got a chemical burn. So they basically stopped the Kentucky Derby races because of that. Over here seagulls are getting quite active. Some of them are starting to fly out here toward the outer harbor, but they're just circling around and around over there. They must know, but they must have realized the tide change, and they're getting excited over their food. Yeah, a chance will come up. And out here, while I was yapping away, right out there, a fish jumped. It was about 3 feet long. And back to Mother Nature. And pretty soon those ducks are going to be feeding in the shallows. Now the water enthusiast film, that guy in the jet ski that went crazy in here during the process of low tide, and he hit a rock. Now, gives you the bigger picture. Between the ducks and me, there's a lot of big rocks, and right now they're not that far underwater. There's only a foot or two of water between them and the surface. That guy on the jet ski or sea-doo, whatever you want to call it, he showed up right down in there, and he hit a rock on the side of his jet ski hull, or the sea-doo hull. It's a miracle that he didn't bust his machine. Because everyone who knows my films knows there's a lot of reef between the ducks and this camera. And soon enough it will be surfacing. The water's going to drop lower and lower, exposing that reef. That white line in the water shows the outline of the reef top. Oh, we got a boat coming in here. It looks like a pretty large tanker. It definitely is not the Fundy Rose. Let's look at the horizon here. That's a tanker. And that is a tanker. That is a pretty big one too. It's that boat there is bigger than that boat. Wait now, when I first came down, the Norient was going into Courtney Bay, and there were 2 boats sitting out there. And we still got this other tanker out here. That boat is positioned to come in, but the Norient hasn't left yet, so it's only a matter of time before the Norient goes out and that boat there comes in. That should make an interesting film. Yeah, that boat there is not one of the tugs. It's sizable. And mysteriously, yesterday I did not see the 3 little duck families. I did not see them. They have got to be at the marsh. They must be at either the Redhead Marsh or in the Marsh Creek marshes. The seagulls settled down. They're not flying well behind me in the inner harbor. That's where the seagulls were circling in the sky. They seem to have settled down. They're not there now. And I still see no sign of Sammy. Now I know there's fish 2 and 3 feet long out there. They have been jumping. So that is why Sammy and the other seals have been going out there. So I guess I will just keep my eye on the water while I'm filming ducks, and that way I'll see if there's any seal activity. Well, it's been, I think, well, a good 20 minutes or so, and there hasn't been a single drop on the camera. That's a good sign. All right. Oh, I'll go over to the blind area and concentrate on the area around that yellow channel buoy. Yeah, the area around that yellow channel buoy will be a good spot to look.